Oh god, they're making Soraka viable in the top lane again. Please don't let that affect my games. Oh my god. What is up, Team ProGuides, and welcome back to another patch rundown video. We're going to go over all of the changes that hit the live server as of patch 10.10, who's going to be broken, why they're buffing Aurelia and Soraka of all the champions, and don't worry, we're going to be covering all of these changes, so make sure to stay tuned till the very end. And of course, we're going to put them all into tiers, so it's very easy for you guys to see who's strong right now and who is weak. And as always, for our question of the day, this is an interesting one. What part of League of Legends gameplay does not make any sense? I mean, to be honest, with a bunch of these champions, there's some that just don't make sense at all. Like with Gangplank, how does eating oranges suddenly make everything okay and he's healthy all of a sudden? Some stuff doesn't make sense. I want to know what you guys think down below. What does not make sense in League of Legends? Aside from how broken Yasuo's wind wall is. But before we get started, make sure you guys join our brand new Discord server using the link in the description. We want to connect with you guys. We want to make sure we have the best community out there. And this is just a way for us to connect with you guys. We're going to be doing a bunch of coaching giveaways, raffles, tournaments, and just giving back to the community. So join that and you can get access to all that. All right, guys, you can see it in the description link below. And if you guys enjoy this type of video, obviously, please leave a like. It really helps us in the long run. And consider subscribing if you find this content useful. All right, let's get into my favorite section, the skins. First things first, we have a ton of new skins this patch. Watch the clock because we've got some new Pulsefire skins joining the skin shop. Alongside a Pulsefire event, we're going to be seeing a ton of new drops joining the lineup. Everything is chrome in the future, and these supposed time travelers are here to shake up the status quo. Pulsefire Echo, Fiora, Lucian Prestige Edition, and Pantheon will now be available. There are also a plethora of chromas as well as summoner icons being added too. It's a Pulsefire party, so if this aesthetic appeals to you guys, then you definitely need to save some RP and cop those. Alright guys, next up we have the balance changes. First up is Kled. He's been way too strong across all elos. Specifically, Riot has decided to target his strengths in skilled levels of play. Kled's Q has taken a major early game nerf. Its cooldown has been increased from 9 to 7 seconds to 11 to 7 seconds. This increased cooldown in the early game is huge because it'll change how a ton of his matchups are played out. Kled definitely wants to play aggressively level 1 and try to go for level 2 all-ins. Increasing the cooldown on his Q by 2 seconds at level 1 means it'll be much harder for him to contest lane priority across several different matchups. This nerf will definitely be much more noticeable in mid-elo and high-elo because players have a better grasp over how to punish their opponents when their abilities are on cooldown. It will also feel pretty noticeable in low-elo as well, but it might not be as big of a difference because by level 9 this nerf is irrelevant because he'll have maxed out his Q anyway. Kled will remain in the S tier, however, as his damage has not taken a hit. Honestly, I don't even see Kled that much, and I don't think this is going to change that at all. Another champion who was nerfed this patch is Maokai. Maokai's Q's cost has gone up from 50 to 60. This nerf is rather small, and most players won't really notice the difference. At the very least, though, it makes Maokai a little bit more punishable when counterpicking him. When his mana costs are too low, he can use his abilities to farm safely, but by increasing his mana costs, he'll run out of mana more quickly if he's spamming his abilities, and thus he'll acquire less farm. As a lot of Maokai players will take Biscuit Delivery or Mana Flow Band, however, it's unlikely that this nerf will have a huge impact on Maokai's win rate, so guys, he's going to be in the S+ tier probably still. Yep, sorry. But if this nerf really is that noticeable, we probably will see Maokai players pick up an early Fairy Charm or a Doran's Ring to assist them, but we really don't see him going out of the S+ tier. I mean, he has so much crowd control, so many ways to influence the game, and he's very easy to play. I mean, his W is just broken. If you guys are very interested in climbing across any elo, Maokai is definitely someone who you should pick up. Alright, now let's get on to Aurelia. She has been buffed. The better nerf Aurelia memes have been on hold for a while because, well, not only has she not been playing, but she really has been underperforming quite a bit. I'm not looking forward to these buffs, but the data shows that her win rates are well below 50%, so honestly, they're probably a bit warranted. If she ends up too strong, they'll nerf her again, and we get to meme her some more anyway. And to me, that's a win-win. Her E's damage has gone up from 70 to 230 to 80 to 260. In the later parts of the game, that's a 30 damage increase on an AoE ability. Even during the laning phase, she's seeing at least a 10 damage buff during trades or extended fights. Aurelia is one of the hardest snowballing champions in the game, so any buff to her, minor or major, can easily push her over the top. One kill is really all that it takes for her to pop off, so we'll just wait and see how far Aurelia can take these buffs. We moved her back into the A tier because she is a favorite for high elo players as well as professionals. Her incredible damage output, her mobility makes her an incredible solo queue pub stomper. Sadly, whenever I try and play her, I always end up 0-10, so I have just given up on her. My boomer mechanics are definitely more aligned with Maokai. Alright guys, now let's talk about the tier list. Our S+ tier remains unchanged with Darius, Fiora, Wukong, and Maokai. Wukong's play rate has dropped significantly, but part of this is because of how often he's getting banned. Wukong still sports a 20% ban rate in spite of getting nerfed time and time again. Darius, on the other hand, was the most played top laner last patch and also retained a 40% ban rate as well. He's the most popular top laner for a reason. He has an immense amount of lane pressure, he snowballs hard, and is extremely difficult to deal with since most players like to run Ghost on him. Combined with Nimbus Cloak, Darius is too fast to run away from, and he'll take a game away from you off of a single kill. In our S tier, we have Mordekaiser, Shen, Kled, Jax, Urgot, and Nasus. In case you missed our mid-patch update during 10.9, we moved up Urgot and Nasus to the S tier because these champions were incredibly powerful in low elo especially. Urgot and Nasus are decent picks in high elo as well, both holding around a 51% win rate in Platinum and higher. They're not bad picks by any means, but Urgot is the strongest top laner in the game when considering every single rank. Admittedly, this judgment is much more bottom-weighted. In other words, there are more low elo players on every server, so of course, if he's good in low elo, his overall win rate will be higher. Urgot held a 53% win rate across all ranks last patch, and he hasn't been touched. We expect him to continue dominating, so if you're looking for champions to climb through lower ranks, we heavily suggest him or Nasus. One last change we've made to the tier list is that we've moved Hecarim up to the B tier. Top lane champions have been getting nerfed left and right. Hecarim, a powerful conqueror-abusing bruiser himself, has been getting stronger and stronger as a result. While his play rate is rather low, he's finding a decent amount of success in the games he's picked in. Hecarim does fairly well into Aurelia as well, and we expect her to see much more this patch regardless. We've also added Kayn into the C tier. We'll talk a little bit more about him in our jungle section, but since he's getting nerfed, we expect him to perform worse than before. That seems pretty obvious. Last patch, he was performing just a little bit below average, but we expect him to fit in as a niche pick here and there. Alright guys, let's run through the jungle changes. Okay, so let's talk about Kayn first. Kayn got buffed last patch on patch 10.9, and now he's getting nerfed. It's a pretty roundabout approach, but Kayn is still going to be stronger than he was before the initial set of buffs. Our analysts called it. Kayn was definitely going to be broken, and guess what? He was, or rather still is. This patch, Rost's healing has gone down from 34.5 to 43% to 30 to 40%. Shadow Assassin Kayn remains untouched, but most players have been abusing this incredibly low cooldown on his Q by playing Kayn's red form instead. No surprises there, because there's an item called Death Dance in the game. Don't know if you've heard of it. It's way too strong on Kayn because of the incredible synergy it has with red form Kayn, as well as Spirit Visage or Visage. I don't think any of you guys are going to let me slide on my Visage pronunciation and my coup de grace. But I think a lot of you guys are French or something, I don't know. In spite of these nerfs, Kayn will remain in the S tier because of his incredible dominance in solo queue. Next is Udyr. Guess what? He just received 5 movement speed. 5 whole movement speed, guys. Huge, massive buff. You guys ready for those memes? I know you guys love it when I say massive changes. His movement speed has gone up from 345 to 350. This buff makes Udyr one of the fastest champions in the game to start. Although 5 movement speed is rather insignificant for most champions, it actually isn't for Udyr. He is really immobile and has to get up close to be pretty useful, otherwise he's just useless. I mean, you can say that about any juggernaut, but Udyr especially suffers from this because of his ridiculously low range. Udyr is one of the last champions who still retains his design from his conception at the start of League of Legends. His kit is simple and rather outdated, so it's been pretty tough for him to keep up with the rest of the cast, and that's why you never see him in any of your games. Unless, of course, you're playing with Trick 2G or something. Thus, Udyr has a lot of power loaded into his kit for those times where he does manage to reach his targets. With this movement speed buff, we're actually going to move him into the B tier. Once again, this buff may seem memey, because I mean 5 movement speed, who cares? But it actually is specifically strong with Udyr. For most champions, we wouldn't consider this a move up a tier at all, but he is the exception because he can use this buff more effectively than others. Okay, now let's talk about Nidalee. She's also receiving buffs. Her Q's AP ratio has gone up from 40 to 50%. Nidalee has been performing decently around Platinum and Diamond, exceptionally well above it, and pretty darn poor below it. This buff is targeted at low and mid elo players, but it will absolutely break her in high elo. So whenever you're watching your favorite pro player on Twitch, just pay respects whenever they die to one of the Nidalees. She holds well above a 50% win rate in Masters and higher, but it's a small price to pay considering that they make up only a very small portion of the player base. Players across all ranks will now be able to play her more effectively, but we especially believe she will dominate high elo now. Nidalee has been moved into our S tier because we expect her to terrorize high elo lobbies, and because One Tricks will now be able to better abuse her dominant jungle playstyle. However, she is not that friendly in low elo, so despite these buffs, I do not recommend you picking up Nidalee unless you're really interested in mastering her, in which case I do recommend you go to ProGuides.com and find yourself a challenger coach to teach you Nidalee before you rank games, because nobody in any elo wants a new Nidalee player on their team. That is a free loss. Alright, for our tier list in the jungle, our S+ tier consists of Graves, Fiddlesticks, Zac, and again, Wukong. Fiddlesticks' play rate is rather low, he's an incredibly powerful AP jungler, and it's only a matter of time before players start spamming him non-stop. Even now, it's not like he's an unpopular pick, but he's really not being played very much. His ban rates have tapered off heavily since his release because now people kind of know how to play against him. As a result, more players are actually able to pick him up during Champion Select, and we see a massive increase in his play. Our S tier consists of Lee Sin, Olaf, Rek'Sai, Shaco, Trundle, Nunu, Elise, Warwick, Kayn, Evelynn, and Nidalee, who was just added. While this is a rather lengthy S+ and S tier, our analysts believe that all these champions are strong in their own right. They have a unique set of skills that allow them to influence the game in different ways. While your team needs frontliners to engage, you have Nunu and Zac. Early game gankers like Lee Sin and Shaco are also oppressive, while power farming junglers like Kayn are also still very viable as well. Alright guys, that's it for the jungle. Now let's head into the mid lane. There are a bunch of mid lane changes, so let's jump right in. Finally, we've been waiting for this forever. Diana has finally been nerfed, guys. She's been S+ tier for far too long. If you guys have watched any of our videos, you know she's always been in the S+ tier. And maybe someone on the balance team finally watched one of our videos, who knows? Her base health has gone down from 594 to 570. Diana had way too much health to begin with, and this minor nerf should make specific matchups much more volatile for her, especially in assassin versus assassin matchups. The last sliver of health makes all the difference between 1v9ing and feeding. So as a result, we have moved her down a notch from the S+ tier to the S tier. This nerf is minor, and she'll still be an amazing pick in spite of it, but I think this is the beginning of a trend where Riot is like, I gotta fix Diana because there's something wrong with her, and ProGuides has been saying it for a while, so I guess everyone's gonna get mad at me if I don't bring her down a notch and give her a nerf. I love Riot though, they're really nice people over there. Okay, now on to Katarina. So Katarina is also receiving a nerf. Her passive AP ratio is taking a big hit as its scaling has been hit at all levels beyond 6. At levels 1, 6, 11, and 16 respectively, the ratio has been reduced from 55, 70, 85, 100% to 55, 66, 77, 88%. As Katarina's gameplay revolves heavily around her passive, this nerf significantly reduces her late game damage. Takedowns always matter, but they matter even more on Katarina. Katarina needs those kills for resets. It's literally life or death for her at times. Sometimes she needs to assassinate an opponent and immediately jump out of a sticky situation. At other times, she needs to quickly jump to another target to change the outcome of a fight. Any damage nerf is huge to Katarina especially, but we're going to be keeping her in the S tier for now, but honestly I could see her going down to the A tier depending on the results next week. We'll continue to keep tabs, so hit that sub button if you guys want to be notified next week. So we actually have a buff coming to Twisted Fate again. Wow, I don't think he's going to be like his former glory, but who knows? This is great. First up, his basic attack damage has gone up from 49.954 to 52. Once again, Riot is just trying to clean up some numbers, I guess. It's just an old accounting method. Additionally, his Rs mana cost has gone down from 150 to 100. And guess what? This is actually a massive buff to Twisted Fate, because he now has an easier time casting his first ultimate, and that actually can snowball out of control. I mean, for everyone who used to play League back in the day, we know how dangerous a global ultimate Twisted Fate is. I mean, he's not really like completely global, but he can cast it very far. In many cases, when you're playing Twisted Fate, you'll make it to level 6, but you will have very little mana to spare. Whether you've been using your mana to farm or to trade against your opponent, you're often not going to have too much left to use. With an ultimate that costs 150 mana, it's going to be difficult for you to go to the side lanes and roam, because you still need mana to do damage once you actually get there. I mean, his W costs 40 mana, so you're going to need at least 190 mana left to roam. With this buff, though, you'll only need 140. 200 mana means that you'll have a Q as well now when porting over to a side lane. Increased base attack damage means that it'll be easier for Twisted Fate players to last hit and also to push their lanes. In the late game, well, these things don't really change a thing, but they definitely help him out a ton early on, and that's kind of what Twisted Fate really needs right now. He thrives off impacting the map, so we've moved him up into the S tier. We expect a ton of high elo players, or those who focus on their macro play rather than micro play, to pick up Twisted Fate to carry their games. Personally, I believe that Twisted Fate is a perfect champion for people who really want to improve in League of Legends. Champions that don't require too much micro, but help you focus on your game knowledge and your influence on the map, are perfect for climbing. So Twisted Fate is a great example. Amumu is another great example. All you have to do is just press W and then just spam your E while you're looking at the map the entire time, figuring out where to gank and go next. Great champion for understanding macro play, great champion for climbing. Another mid laner that has got buffed is Annie. First up, Annie's E damage reduction has been increased from 10 to 22% to 13 to 29%. Also, her R's aura damage has gone from 10 to 20 to 20 to 40. Also, her ultimate's aura AP ratios are going up as well. It's even harder to ignore Tibbers now because of this. Oh gosh. Tibbers is her ultimate. You shouldn't have been able to, but now you definitely can't ignore it. However, this is also a burst damage buff in many cases as well. If you're using Annie's ultimate to stun opponents, you're guaranteed to get at least one instance of that aura damage. Therefore, she'll be even better at one-shotting opponents after level 6. The E buff is nice as well, and Annie will have a better chance at surviving burst damage from assassins and also be able to more effectively trade against them. Our S+ tier this patch consists of Fizz, Vladimir, and Talon. Diana is out and Vladimir is in. He held just below a 20% ban rate last patch. His pick rate was actually quite high at 7% in Platinum and higher. Doesn't sound like a lot, but Yasuo, who was the most popular last patch, was at 10%. That just gives you an idea of how popular he was. Of all the roles, top and mid's pick rates are much more evenly split than the other roles. Some people at Riot deserve raises because this means that there's a ton of versatility in your options in these roles. Anyway, Vladimir has been a go-to ban for many players, and he's continuing to prove this through statistics alone. Vladimir can be difficult to push out of lane because of his high built-in sustain. We're seeing some more passive poke-oriented mid laners come back into the meta, and thus Vladimir is able to more reliably scale up. He's a late-game monster who can literally one-shot an entire enemy team, so definitely watch out for him. In the S tier, we have Kassadin, Katarina, Echo, Cassiopeia, Diana, Zed, Yasuo, Sylas, Galio, and Twisted Fate. Fun fact, in Platinum and higher, Kassadin was the second most banned mid laner last patch with a 36% ban rate. That's insane. But we all know who took the crown, and that was Yasuo. Not because they're afraid of the enemy Yasuos, but because they're afraid of their allied Yasuo 0 and 10 mid. I mean, that's the reason why I ban Yasuo every time anyway. Alright guys, this is music to my ears. Can we play some music, some different music? I don't know, maybe some violin music. Editor, please. This is music to my ears, guys. Finally, not only did Riot listen to us about the Diana nerf, but guess what? They're going to be nerfing Miss Fortune as well. Miss Fortune's maximum movement speed on her W has gone down from 60 to 100 to 50 to 90. Well, this targets a couple of things. One is that before this nerf, Miss Fortune was able to return to lane so fast because of her W. Having 60 bonus movement speed is like having Boots of Swiftness for free. If you buy actual boots to supplement this, you can quickly return to lane with pretty much no downside at all. That helps her really get a huge CS advantage on opponents, especially in low elo. The movement speed also means that if Misfortune hasn't taken damage recently, it can be a lot easier to get a clean engage off. While her damage hasn't been touched, this nerf is really going to slow her down, literally, making her a little bit more vulnerable to ganks and also kind of making her hard to really come online. More aggressive champions should have an easier time forcing extended trades against her as well. And sadly, I talked to my challenger analysts. I was like, can't we just move her down? But you know what? They said she's still broken. She's still going to be in the S+ tier for now, but they're going to keep monitoring her. They're going to keep you guys updated. They're going to tell you whether or not she can get down into the A tier, hopefully in the B tier where she belongs. To be honest, she's still probably S+ tier, guys. But she was like S+++ tier before, and now she's just normal S+ tier, I guess. Alright guys, now Sivir on the other hand was also buffed. Wasn't super broken, but she got buffed, and I think they were probably needed. Her ease mana refund has gone up from 80 to 140 to 110 to 150. This will help Sivir out a ton in the early game. When her opponents aren't careful, they'll accidentally gift Sivir a ton of free mana, meaning that she'll be able to shove waves over and over again. We'll keep her the A tier for now though, since this buff doesn't really affect her late game at all. Our S+ tier consists of Misfortune and Ezreal still. Once again, we need to keep watching on what happens to Misfortune. These buffs might turn out to be too little and she may still continue to destroy opponents in the lane. Sadly, that's probably going to be me. In the S tier, we have Vayne, Caitlyn, Jinx, Kai'Sa, Draven, and also Yasuo. Yasuo has been an aggressive answer to many marksmen in the bot lane. With Misfortune's nerf, this paves the way even more for Yasuo, sadly. Reduced movement speed means that Misfortune is much more susceptible to aggressive all-ins, and you get the idea. Yasuo jumps through minions and spams Q on you until you die. I don't think Misfortune's gonna be running away too easily now. Yasuo also has a pretty easy time farming against Ezreal, who is usually content playing a farm lane as well. Unlike the top and mid lane, the bottom lane definitely has some crowd favorites. Ezreal and Misfortune have significantly higher pick rates than the other champions, and thus, Yasuo will get these matchups quite often in the bot lane, so Yasuo is going to be in the S+ tier as a result. Finally, we've introduced Ziggs into the A tier and also moved Syndra up there too. AP bot laners are becoming more and more popular. We've seen Ziggs played in professional games quite recently as a bottom laner. He deals a ton of damage, especially at chokes, and also breaks turrets quickly. He fills the role quite well and players are starting to catch on. Alright guys, that's been a mouthful, but we're going to be wrapping up the video with support. Alright guys, insert the here we go again meme because Soraka, well, she's been buffed. Her Q's damage has gone up from 75 to 215 to 85 to 225. Also, her W's health refund when rejuvenated has gone up from 60 to 100% to 80 to 100%. Although these changes are listed for supports, we have to observe her carefully because our analysts believe she will once again see play in the top lane. Oh god, we moved Soraka up into the S tier because of these buffs. Hopefully that S tier doesn't translate to a top lane tier list next patch, but we'll be monitoring her and making sure that you guys are staying updated with that. Okay, so finally Tariq got nerfed. This nerf is more so targeted at funnel strategies though. His health per level has gone down from 90 to 85, and his W's bonus armor from 10 to 20% to 10 to 14%. This nerf won't really affect his early game, but it should be easier to burst down Tariq later on into the game. Kill him before he finishes channeling his ult, and the fight is lost. That doesn't mean it'll be easy, but it'll be easier than before, without a doubt. Let's run through the S+ tier now. In it, we have Leona, Blitzcrank, and a new member, Senna. Senna hasn't received buffs, but as the meta has developed, it's become clear that Senna is too good. The concept of fasting Senna is a unique one, but it opens up a ton of versatility in the bottom lane. She's able to funnel gold onto a traditional support character. We even saw this in the LCK, where a Maokai pick went bottom, and Senna just supported it. This is a game changer for sure. The fact that Senna can impact drafts this heavily means that she merits the S+ tier as a pick. If you guys are interested in this strategy, do get a coach though, because you can't just hop in and then expect to win with Senna as a support this way. It's a more sophisticated thing. You'll probably also benefit from getting a duo partner in the bot lane as well. In our S tier, we have Thresh, Nautilus, Morgana, Lulu, Bard, Nami, Yuumi, Janna, and Soraka. Currently, Nautilus and Yuumi are the most banned supports, and for good reason. They're both really annoying to deal with, but honestly, a lot of supports are. Sometimes you just have to choose the worst amongst all evils, and most players think that evil is a mischievous, irritating cat. Yuumi is incredibly powerful because of how slippery she is, and also because of how effectively she can buff up a teammate. She just hops on and then everyone just deals so much damage. I mean, Saskia, one of our coaches, you guys know him already. He's been doing all the live classes with you guys on our YouTube channel. He actually climbed to platinum with his feet, playing Yuumi and an ADC at the same time. That just goes to show how broken Yuumi is and how easy it is for her to influence the game, not doing much at all. As long as an ally she's attached to isn't extremely behind, it actually feels like they're suddenly fed with the help of this little cat that jumps onto you. Alright guys, that's it for support. That's it for the video. That concludes the patch 10.10 rundown. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please leave us a like, comment on our question of the day, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We release a ton of content like this to help you guys get better at the game. If you guys need a little bit of extra help, you can go to ProGuides.com and find a challenger coach who will take your gameplay to the next level. And if you guys are interested in other games like Valorant, Fortnite, TFT, we have a ton of channels on YouTube. You can go check those out as well. If you guys want to connect with me personally, feel free to go to my Instagram at ChristophProGuides. I answer some of you guys' questions over there. And don't forget to join us on Discord. We're going to be doing a lot of great stuff on there for you guys as well. All right, guys, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and I'll see you on the Rift.